We're back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider. Happy New Year, Jones, Adam. We've got a ton to do here on our Tar Heel recap. Let's get to it. It's all brought to you by Wells Fargo. Adam, let's start with basketball. Busy stretch for Carolina as it's into ACC play. Of course, the Tar Heels play tonight in Charlottesville, 9 o'clock. Big one against Virginia, and the Tar Heels go in, Adam, with a little bit of momentum. Winners of 6 of their last 7, including back-to-back victories last week over Wake Forest and most recently over Notre Dame in at the Smith Center, 81-64 on Saturday afternoon.
Tar Heels getting some really good play from Armando Bacot. 21 points and 13 rebounds against the Irish for the first time in his career. He's got 5 straight 20-plus scoring games. For that, he was awarded ACC Player of the Week, as he's been really good. Since he missed the Virginia Tech game, Carolina's been more consistent in running the offense through him, and he's been very productive. And Jones, I thought this was a crazy stat. He's now won Player of the Week 5 times during his Carolina career. There's only 3 Tar Heels who have won that award more, and it's a pretty good list. Tyler Hansbrough, Antoine Jamison, Phil Ford. And Armando Bacot doing it in a much bigger ACC with more competition, where I think it's fair to say the ACC likes to spread that honor around if they possibly can. So Armando with a chance to still move up that list, and he's also still chasing some other Carolina records.
Yeah, all 3 of those guys who have had more ACC Player of the Week, of course, they all have their numbers not just honored but retired at Carolina. Some other records, there's a bunch of them that Armando's chasing. Moved up into 2nd all-time in Carolina history in rebounds in this past game, past Sam Perkins. The only person ahead of him is Tyler Hansbrough. Moved into 3rd place for offensive rebounds all-time at Carolina. Only Tyler Hansbrough and George Lynch ahead of Armando in that category. Also now just 2 double-doubles shy of the Carolina record. He has 58 for his career. Billy Cunningham owns that with 60. Armando's also now in the top 10 in the ACC in all-time double-double. So impressive company that Armando Bacot is keeping. Also, he's on pace to finish in the top 10 in Carolina history in scoring as well. So not just doing it on the glass, but with points as well. Mentioned Carolina has won 6 of his last 7. Armando not the only reason. Better guard play, particularly the consistency of R.J. Davis, averaging 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Carolina getting some good rebounding help from Leaky Black in this stretch as well. Caleb Love broke out of his shooting slump a little bit this past game, so Carolina hopes to carry all of that to Charlottesville tonight. Again, 9 o'clock. We're on the air at 8 p.m. Back-to-back road games this week for the Heels, Virginia, and Louisville. Adam, the Tar Heel men, though, not the only basketball team that got a big win over Notre Dame this past weekend. The women had a much-needed high-profile victory. They had lost a couple in a row and get a nice quality victory over the Irish in Carmichael on Sunday afternoon.
Tar Heels have been winless in the ACC, but Carmichael was exactly what they needed. They come back in. Notre Dame's ranked number 4 in the country and one of the highest-scoring teams in the country. Carolina plays great defense, gets the win 60-50 over the Irish, and got some unexpected contributions up and down the rotation. Paulina Paris comes off the bench and scores 16 points, including 11 in the 4th quarter. Carolina was really good from the free throw line. They made 11 of 14 from the line in the 4th after not shooting a free throw the entire previous 3 quarters. So Courtney Banghardt's suggestions to the officials paid off. It really helps Carolina's NCAA tournament resume because that's now 2 top 5 wins. Carolina also beat Iowa State back in Portland, and they've got a top 20 win also. They beat Oregon in Portland, so that's good credentials as far as important games they've won. But much like with the men, the difficult stretch continues. Carolina also goes to Virginia this week. They'll be there on Thursday, then back home on Sunday against NC State, where the Carmichael crowd going to be important in that one. You know, State will bring some folks, and the Tar Heels want to have a very similar environment to what they had against the Irish. That was very beneficial in that win.
First time since 2009, the Tar Heels have 2 top 5 victories in the same season as far as women's basketball is concerned. Adam mentioned that defense. Notre Dame shot just 28% in the game. They came into the action shooting 50% for the season. Tar Heels played a ton of zone, which seemed to bother Notre Dame in that particular game. Terrific win again for Courtney Bankhardt and her team. Let's change over to football. Of course, season over, moving in to the offseason now, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a bunch happening. Carolina announced its early enrollees earlier this week. That includes freshmen. There's 10 freshmen that are enrolling early. But Adam, the main event here was the 9 transfers that are coming to Carolina. 2 wide receivers, 3 defensive backs, an offensive lineman, a jack, that's that outside linebacker position for Carolina, plus a kicker and a punter. So the Tar Heels really address multiple needs with this transfer class, and that's just how that's how part of college football is handled now, is you go in the month of December and figure out what holes you have and try to plug them.
Used to be all that mattered in the offseason was where your recruiting class ranks. Now your transfer class is ranked, and Carolina ranked the 12th best transfer class in the country by 24/7, which I guess that's a viable thing that we have to pay attention to now, as Carolina is going to have a total of 19 new enrollees. Also got some good news, not a transfer, but maybe a somewhat unexpected return, as Corey Gaynor is going to come back and play his 6th year. So the Tar Heels shoring up some areas that we weren't sure about maybe a month or so ago. And the ACC told us today, James, that they will announce the schedule on January 30th. So you sit right there and wait.
Coming soon.
They're going to tell you here in the near future who the Tar Heels will play and when they'll play them.
Tar Heels have a difficult schedule. We do know next year, game against South Carolina and Charlotte, Minnesota coming to Chapel Hill. Tar Heels go to Clemson next season, to NC State next season. So certainly some difficult matchups upcoming for Carolina. All right, let's go to a couple Olympic sports before we get out of here. Let's start with men's golf. They're getting into their season. They've been national right there at the national level these last couple of years, and getting going now with the aptly named Jones Cup. What a terrific event in Sea Island, Georgia. Congratulations to David Ford, birdied the final hole to win that. That event featured 16 of the top 50 amateurs in the world. So some really good competition. He gets an exemption into a PGA Tour event this upcoming year for that victory. Also, Peter Fountain, another Tar Heel, finished 4th, so a lot of high-quality finishes. And the spring season opens, Adam, in early February, so we're getting closer here as the Tar Heels will get started out in Hawaii. Again, they have been in the final 8 here nationally the last 2 years. Looking forward to hopefully taking another step. Let's move to gymnastics. Adam, final year of the Eagle. ACC is going to start up next year. You have to have 4 teams to officially have an Atlantic Coast Conference. Clemson is bringing on gymnastics. They will join Carolina, NC State, and Pittsburgh. So there will be a full-time ACC. This is the final year in the East Atlantic Gymnastics League. The Eagle and Adam, the Tar Heels, got a big dual meet victory over State on Monday night.
We told you in Jones's Gymnastics Corner on today's audio pod not to be worried about Carolina's 3rd place finish in the first meet of the year, because we would see the real rotation against the pack. And the real rotation produced, got the win over NC State. Lally Dekanoidze, a program record, 9.975 on bars. Jones, it looked like a 10 to me.
Yeah, I'd like to see where the deduction came.
Julia Noer wins the all-around title and sets the career mark because that's her 8th in Carolina history. Tar Heels, Dana Durrante's got it rolling a little bit with gymnastics. They are on the rise, a team to watch, and they've got a meet coming up where they're going to host University of Wisconsin Stout and Yale. 3 teams that traditionally spend a lot of time together in a tri-meet here in a couple of weeks.
Just finishing up, we'll mention wrestling as well. They visit Harvard and Brown this weekend, get into ACC dual action against Duke later this month. It has been a difficult start to the campaign for the wrestling team, but they've also played a really, really difficult schedule. They've already wrestled 4 of the top 15 programs in the nation. They hope some of those lumps that they took early in the year help them as they get into ACC duels moving through January and February. We're going to move on through to the other side. Don't forget, basketball tonight, 9 o'clock, Charlottesville. We'll be on the air radio-wise at 8 p.m. But for now, we say goodbye on the Carolina Insider.